that.
You're live.
Okay. Don't know if anyone can see us yet, but I'm going to post this link places.
We're getting washed out.
A little bit. That better? Better?
I think so.
Hey, Beat Up Bricks Productions is already in the chat.
Cool.
Alright. I'm really curious if they're going to be able to hear the birds outside.
So we have an ongoing war with the birds outside. They won't stop chirping. Ever.
Yeet. There we go. This is weird because now I can see myself.
They did.
Yeah. For those of you curious, I was just posting the link to the social media pages so that people can join us. And as soon as that turns 12 o'clock, which it literally just did, we can get started.
Oh, okay. You can read it because I can see on the screen.
Yeah, no, there's
usernames, but I can't read it.
There's
here.
no way we're going to read the comments on the camera, so that's why this is here.
Gotcha.
This is a very...
You will have to read that because I can't read that from
Yeah.
here.
People are saying, hi, hello. I don't hear any birds. Oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
Even if I did, I love the sound birds make. Can you hear us all right, I guess is a good question to ask. Brick 101, or aka Dave Pickett, says, hi, Matt. It's nice to finally meet you.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Dave. Wait, does he go by David or Dave?
Dave, typically.
Okay.
All right, let's get started.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. This is what I'm calling Chat and Build. I will explain. Well, first let me introduce my guest. I'm David Pagano, and guest, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Matt Witham.
And Matt has worked on many Paganomation productions, if you want to list them, because I don't always remember them.
The
first one was...
Flappy.
Oh, the first one was Flappy. See, I would have gotten it wrong already. I was going to say the first one was the Build heavy metal music video where the guy has the lightning axe.
Was that before or after Max Race or the Max Racing?
That was before Max Racers.
Not.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Not Speed Champions.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
This is what happens when you try to remember videos that you made 9 years ago.
Or anything past yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. And you've worked on a lot of stuff since then, like Adventures of Max and other random things. You wrote the music for The Magic Picnic.
I did.
Which people might know from the Lego animation book.
Did the music for How About We Animate That?
That's true. That is true.
The new episode just came out. It's great.
I'm not paying him to make any of these plugs, but I will not stop him either. So what this is, I guess, now that you've introduced yourself, I'll explain what the heck we're doing here. A lot of people on YouTube do kind of like unboxing videos or live streaming of kits, like building Lego products or other construction toy kits. And every time I watch them, I'm always much less interested in the kit itself than the people who are making it, because they'll start like talking about themselves. Like one live stream that we've actually guest appeared on is the Brick Nerd live stream with Tommy Williamson and James Morr. And Tommy Williamson is really interesting because he's worked on a ton of like VFX productions. Like I just found out that he worked on Freaked, the movie I just saw for the first time the other day. So that was really weird. I think he worked on like Lord of the Rings probably. I could get better information and put it in the description later. And then James it makes really neat, funny little animations. So people who are doing these builds are always much more interesting to me than the build itself. So with that in mind, that's why I put the chat before the build,
right?
Because I thought it would be interesting to talk to people who I work with in the animation industry, or who I've known for a long time, or both in this case, and focus a little bit more on what the heck we do, excuse me, for a living than the thing we're building. That being said, the thing we're building today is appropriately this. This is a Mega Construx TMNT Retro Krang kit, which you kind of specifically request. Oh yeah, we're both representing Ninja Turtle T-shirts today.
So I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan for people who don't know me, and this is my first Mega Construx build. So there you go.
Unfortunately, I don't think this kit is available. I had to find it on Amazon, but I think it might be out of print. But it was too good to pass up because everyone loves Krang.
Yeah.
I also brought this. Every time I do a build on a table, my new thing now, or not new, like a couple years old, is to have cookie sheets to dump out all the pieces on. So I should also apologize. I gave you like no heads up in terms of like what we're gonna discuss on this.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was mostly just gonna be like, I guess. Well,
who was your first kiss?
Actually, the first thing I'll ask you, because I don't know if I've ever asked you this before, or if I did, I forget the answer. What were you like a fan of Lego or Mega blocks or any construction toys? What did you have like growing up? Did you do that stuff before we worked together?
Yes. Not as intensely as you, obviously.
Sure. No, that's fair.
But I would say from age 3 to 12, I was into Legos. Mostly, like I think the majority of the kits that I got were the pirate ones.
Nice.
And then just kind of random assorted, like franchise ones, whatever movie tie-ins there were at the time. I feel like Steel Tech and Connects and Erector set were like my major
Erector
construction sets. Like I
what
like
was Steel Tech?
It was essentially Erector set. It was just like the competing company. It was the Mega Blocks to Lego kind of thing.
Believe it or not, I remember the commercials for Steel Tech more than I remember the actual products.
Because I liked actually using the the wrenches, like the little mini wrenches, and like building like actual metal projects.
Yeah,
with your hand
right
and
on.
stuff, and like my fingers would be all like gnarled up because I was like cutting myself in the corners with like bolts
Sure.
and nuts, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, that's really funny because I actually did not. The reasons you're describing for liking those kinds of kits were the reasons I did not. Because I would like use the wrench and like bolt something together, and then I would realize I made a mistake or I wanted to change something. I'm like, unbolt this, pull the nut. I just want to go, geek, and then have the thing be assembled.
Right. I feel like I just saw. I don't know if it's Steel Tech, Erector set, or something else, but there's like a similar type construction toy that's back on the shelves recently. Buy this.
That's cool.
But I didn't.
Interestingly, Construx, I guess we can talk about for a sec, because that used to be a totally different thing.
Right.
And actually, I'm remembering in kindergarten, we had Construx. They weren't, so Mega Blocks and Mega Brands was bought by Mattel. Mattel owned Construx. Construx were actually these things where it was a little bit like girder and panel, where there were like these like cores that you could stick like longer beams onto and make things. And I remember in kindergarten, we were very specifically told that we could not use the Construx that we had in like the play area to make Ninja Turtle weapons. That was absolutely not allowed. That being said, it happened anyway, but it was a thing. I guess let's start opening these bags up. I like this kind of graphic and nice in a comic-y sort of way. I don't know if you need this.
Doesn't matter what we open first.
I don't think so. They're not numbered. And I also picked this set out of the ones you were asking about because I thought it would be. I had no idea how long we were going to talk versus build, so I picked one that was on the lighter side. Actually. Just turning off the chat so that it doesn't crash my phone as I get text messages. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'll continue to open these questions that we're getting.
Are we really choppy?
I think we can't use this as a reference point. If we are really choppy, let us know. But we'll just continue as if everything. We were asked in the comments, how did you two meet? This is a very appropriate question. This is I don't remember meeting you.
To be a dog.
I will explain what I mean by that. So we both work on a like offset after I was a little bit overlap.
I started season 3, 2008.
Yeah.
Around June. Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
This month. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I started like in 07, so I was a little bit ahead of you. But we were both at the same Halloween party at the studio, and you were dressed as
Master Splinter.
And I had no clue who you were, but I remember very specifically saying to you, that is an awesome Master Splinter costume. And I don't know if you have like photos of that anywhere on like Instagram or something, but
I probably do on Facebook or something.
But yeah, and then I don't remember. Do you remember actually meeting me as a human?
Oh,
you can also take this.
I mean, not like a specific like day or encounter.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I remember talking at some sort of company party or something, like
okay.
After work party.
I mean, we had a lot of mutual friends, obviously,
Yeah.
who have also worked on other Animation productions and
Then
other.
my old roommate was also friends with you.
Yeah.
And then Dave was looking for somebody to help him on a project, and he recommended me. And then we just started working together and became friends.
Yeah. That is accurate. I was going to say something, and then I lost my train of thought.
Oh. Krang's face is kind of hard to see. But...
Camera's on this side.
Wait, what?
It's here.
Oh, right. Sorry, everybody. Well...
I guess for anyone watching, don't text me in the middle of the live stream because that helps make it less choppy. We got a comment from Nelson Diaz saying Xevoz forever. That's a construction toy we can get to in the future.
Oh, nice. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I guess you do. You have the wolf guy and the...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I have another question from Dave Pickett. For me, have I done TMNT cosplay? I haven't, but I've always wanted to dress as the Rat King for Halloween. I think that would be fun to do because he's just, at least in the cartoon anyway, he's just such a strange character. Actually, speaking of the cartoon, what was your first Ninja Turtles memory? Because I know, as you said earlier, you're a huge Ninja Turtles fan. And actually, aren't you also from the same state as Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, so...
It's like it was meant to be.
I was watching... Well, I knew some of this, but not to the, didn't know all the details. But after watching a Ninja Turtle documentary, both the creators are from New England. One is from New Hampshire, and I believe the other is from Massachusetts. And I'm from Maine. But they came up with the company name Mirage at a pizza place in my hometown on my birthday.
Wait, I don't know if I knew all of that.
It was on my birthday, and I was like, what? So I feel like I have a cosmic connection with Ninja Turtles.
That does explain a lot. And actually, that reminds me, there's also, this makes me laugh every time we're at Comic-Con. I don't know who the artist is, but there's some artist in Artist's Alley whose wife always recognizes you as, not as Matt Witham, but as, quote, that guy who likes Ninja Turtles.
The guy at Comic-Con who likes Ninja Turtles is pretty crazy. The artist is Cory Smith.
Ah, got
You
it.
should check out his work. He did a short run on the current Ninja Turtle comic series, which is fantastic, so you should pick it up.
I have not read as much of the Ninja Turtle comics as I would like. Actually, I don't know.
I mean, the original comics are pretty crude.
Cool but crude?
Right. I knew you were going to say that.
Do you mean crude in like a tone way or in like a style way?
Style way. Like, the artwork is like, it's rough.
Gotcha.
But it has a charm to it. But then, I think it was 2013 or 14, they started the new series with Tom Waltz, who I think he writes it. And then Kevin Eastman is like the storyboard artist for it. But then somebody
Interesting.
else does the actual artwork. Like the finished artwork.
So storyboards for comics, is that just like layout or how does that?
I think it's mostly layout.
Got
like
it.
Kevin Eastman does like the layout, and then whoever the current artist is for the volume takes over. But it's a fantastic series. It kind of melds the 80s cartoon with the movies, and it kind of just like touches on like a lot of like old like Ninja Turtle references in this like nice like unified way. Like in the first volume, all the turtles have their red bandanas like they were originally designed, but then you find out it's because they're looking for Raphael, and it's like this like tribute to him, and then they put
That's
on the
kinda cool.
colors, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool way to like transition between red to like your regular colors. So yeah, check it out.
Sorry, that just made me think of like we just saw the Solo movie, and that feels like a similar kind of vibe of we need to explain something
Right.
about like this backstory,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's just make up this in-universe reason for why
Right.
something was the case, which I don't think is inherently a good or a bad thing. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Other questions? Oh, we have actually James from
Oh, nice.
the Brick Nerd, Spastik
James.
Chuwawa. He must have had his ears burning. he asks, have you ever met the Ninja Turtles? So I don't know about you, but I actually have. At Disney World when I was like 5, probably. So my first knowledge of the Ninja Turtles was I had my uncle got me a Metalhead figure before I had even seen the cartoon or knew what it was. I was probably like 3 years old, and I think he just thought it was like a cool looking toy, which is accurate because it had put the light over it and his eyes would glow.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But so I was a fan of the cartoon as a kid, as many were. And when we were in Disney World when I was like 5 years old, they had like a stage show that I bet you I have like footage of somewhere. But I have like Leonardo's signature in
Nice.
like a little storybook that came with like a cassette or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Have you met them?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe my mom would remember, but I don't recall any like Ninja Turtle suited characters anywhere.
So the first thing to build is a billboard.
Exciting stuff on Saturday afternoon.
Do you want to do this or should I?
I can do it.
Okay. I'll put that here. I like that this Krang is like a little rubbery material. I don't know if you can. You probably can't tell. You can't feel things through a live stream, but what would I compare this to? It kind of feels like those. You ever have those muscle figures?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
millions of unusual
Yeah.
small creatures lurking everywhere. That's it.
I didn't realize that stood for something.
I feel like it must be like a backronym. Like they wanted to call it muscle, but then they're like, Well, let's have it like stand for something really ridiculous. I will say the one thing that I'll have to think about more in the future is if we do more of these, how do we get 2 copies of the instruction book? Or we could do kits that have
Did it.
2 books. There you go.
Billboard.
Does that say Channel 6 News with April O'Neil? Nice.
There you go. All right. Moving on.
Well, while you read, I will read other things.
Oh wait, I actually have to build more of it. Sorry.
Oh,
Not done.
you flew too close to the sun. Do you need like a paperweight or something? That works. Ryan Mayer, or Meyer, not sure which it is, asks, do you guys have any other Mega Bloks Ninja Turtle sets? This came about because I had done, in the first How About We Animate That episode, the TMNT Mutations figures. Those were sent to me by Mega Bloks, and based on that, I think you were like, oh, can we do another thing?
Yeah, so after his episode, I was looking at all the other kits, and I'm like, oh, these are actually really cool. And there's like a Technodrome set that I kind of want to get.
Which is gigantic,
yeah.
and would have made this like a 10-hour live stream.
And also, like, I never had the Technodrome toy as a kid, so I'm like, I kind of want to still get this.
I didn't either. I had half of one that I found in the trash. That is, there's no punchline to that story. That's just what happened. You had other, like, I think we were talking about this recently. I don't remember why, but I mean, it's our friendship makes this not surprising. But we were watching a compilation of old Ninja Turtle toy commercials recently, and talking about the toys that we had as kids,
Right.
like the play set specifically. I had the sewer, which I remember was very fragile. Like, a lot of the parts are broken now.
Oh, really?
Because I still have it somewhere. But yeah, like, there was like, you could have the characters like swing down from like a power line, and that's definitely broken. There was like
No, I definitely had that kit. Yeah.
there was a elevator / like little construction like sawhorse kind of thing, and there was like a very thin bit that you would push up and down to make the elevator go up and down, and that's totally broken. I think the backdrop was just cardboard, so that's probably not existing anymore. Whenever you want me to take over here, feel free. But I'm also happy to just
Like,
talk.
I feel like I should complete the billboard.
I guess I should also say, I actually worked on the Ninja Turtle cartoon.
Oh yeah, I always forget that.
Not the original one, because again, I would have been 3 years old. But the one in, I guess it was like 2003, the one that was on 4Kids. That was actually one of my first industry jobs, and by job I mean internship. What my role was to take kind of hand-drawn background images and then quote-unquote ink them in Photoshop. So I would go over the lines from like a background artist and just make them very solid and kind of vectorized, I guess. And then that would get sent to wherever, I don't even know. But even on that production, like, there were a bunch of people who we still work with all the time, because New York animation is a tiny, tiny community of familiar faces. All right, I'm taking over.
Pizza Power.
Pizza Power.
Oh yeah, speaking of the 4Kids cartoon, we were talking about Ninja Turtle toys, and I actually have a box full of unopened figures from the 4Kids series, because in college I was just like, I'm gonna buy all of these, they're gonna be worth tons, and I'm like, they're not worth anything. But
are they worth it to you?
Yeah, I know. So they're somewhere in my mother's attic, which I'm probably just gonna like open them up, or not open them out of the package, but just
Open the box.
Open the box, see what's in there, and potentially just sell them all. So if you're interested in that, follow me on Instagram, because I might do that.
How about we resell that? We should actually also put a link to your social media stuff in the description of this video. That'll happen later.
Yeah.
I have a running joke with my brother Chris about very YouTube-y. I'm very against like the very cliche YouTube kind of like taglines, I guess. Like, we're gonna put a link in the description and don't forget to smash that like button. Like all that stuff just makes me want to gag. But in this case, I think it is helpful to actually have people know who the heck you are and what you do. Do you want to talk more about what you do? Because you do.
Sure.
If the promo for this was any indication, you wear a variety of hats.
I do.
And I mentioned talking about those hats. So tell us about your hats.
Okay. So I started as an animator on Wonder Pets in 2008. I was a character animator for a year and a half, and then did freelance for a little while. And from there, I worked on a children's math app called Addimal Adventure. It basically teaches kids strategies of addition and subtraction, multiplication. But it was actually a really fun project because it was the first one that I got to like design the characters myself and animate them, and I got to like co-write with with a guy that used to write for Sesame Street.
Oh yeah.
And we got voice actors from Sesame Street, and it was just kind of like the dream job, so it was great.
And you also did a voice.
I did, yeah. So it was cool. So check it out if you have young kids or you just like adding. Check it out on the App Store.
I was going to ask you, is it still available?
Yeah. So there's Addimal Adventure, Subtractimals, and Fact Flyers, and there's a multiplication one that I can't remember the name.
Oh,
but I also got to compose the music, which is something I like to do on the side. So anytime I can do that for someone and get paid, it's a good time.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I build puppets, like hand puppets, Muppet-style puppets. And I've been fortunate enough to work with the Jim Henson Company on a couple projects. The majority of stuff is like prop building, arm rod building. The biggest thing I got to build is these like foam fish that were used for their improv show called Puppet Up, which they do in like California. It came to New York.
Yeah, I've seen it
in,
a bunch of times.
2012 or something.
Yeah, a while back. Yeah.
But yeah, it's always fun to work there because there's always Sesame Street stuff going on from all over the world. So yeah, it's a good time.
And that ties into Ninja Turtles because obviously, or maybe not obviously, truthfully, I guess, Jim Henson Company did the suits for the original Ninja Turtles movie.
Well, the first two.
Yeah. I didn't misspeak. I know things.
I thought you were gonna say all three, and I was like, no, they did not do the third.
Yeah, it's too bad they never made a third one. Yeah, and that's especially that first film is something that we both hold near and dear to our hearts, just as like a quality motion picture.
Like, yeah, it really is.
I just bought the autobiography of the director, Steve Barron, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. He also worked on like a whole bunch of music videos. I think the AHA music video for Take On Me and some Michael Jackson stuff. Oh, that's what I was doing. I was checking out the chat. Have you seen the Unikitty Lego animations? Do you mean the
Cartoon Network?
I was gonna say, do you mean the Cartoon Network one or are there other ones? I don't know.
Are there stop motion ones or what?
I would love it if there were stop motion ones. To my knowledge, there's no Unikitty that's stop motion. It's either Cartoon Network or the Lego Movie, which is digital. But
well, if you're talking about the Cartoon Network
Network ones,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I have seen it at Bear Burger because they always have it on.
That's
the
true.
street.
There's nearby is Bear Burger, which is a burger place, and they are constantly playing Cartoon Network.
I do enjoy the character design in that show.
Yeah,
I really haven't had a chance to like sit down and like really pay attention to it, but
and the kits are about to come out, or they just came out, or something like that. But I saw a bunch of those on online.
Missing.
What are you missing?
The other side of this. Oh yeah. Okay. There you are.
Did you do, like you talked about starting animation, like work-wise or industry-wise? Did you do animation as a kid? Like I know you went to school for animation.
Right.
Even though I always think of you as a puppeteer first, even though we've worked on almost exclusively animation together.
So when I was a kid, I mean, I was always into cartoons and stuff, Saturday morning especially. Yeah, I built a lot of stuff with clay. Wallace and Gromit was a huge part of my life, and I felt like that really inspired me to just like build characters and like animals and stuff out of clay. Oddly enough, Clayfighter was a big influence on me because I love video games.
I was gonna say, do we need to explain what Clayfighter is?
So Clayfighter, for those of you who don't know, was a Super Nintendo fighting game, and the character models were originally sculpted in clay, and then they built sprites out of them. And the game is terrible. Like the game mechanics and the fighting, it just isn't. It's not a good game. But it has this weird charm to it. So I used to make my own clay characters. I basically made like a rip-off version of Clayfighter that was just like my own clay characters fighting each other, but I didn't actually do stop motion.
Play-Doh attack.
Yeah, but I made like a toilet out of clay and put a crown on him, and I called him like King John.
Nice.
And like stuff like that.
So it started early, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, and then I would make like fake video game manuals for the game that doesn't exist.
That's cool.
Which I always like had fun with. I'm like, press AB to do the toilet attack or whatever.
I posted this online before. I might have to dig it up again, but in a similar manner, I used to make fake Lego catalogs. Like I would just cut like my favorite kits, and by my favorite kits, I mean ones that I didn't necessarily even own. I just thought they looked cool,
right.
And I would like put them all on like a page. Like these are the space sets. Some of them are, and I would just like list all the numbers and set names, I guess.
Sweet.
Was it?
I think it is.
It was it explains a lot, probably.
So yeah, and then on top of that, I'd take my family's camera and try to do short stop motion videos, which is essentially
Very familiar story.
We had like a start stop switch, but like, you know, it was like you couldn't hit it any faster than a second. So the animation would just be like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it.
Well, you know, I've been digging up stuff recently because from the archives, which is where I post stuff from the archives, believe it or not. But I've been going through old VHS tapes of stuff that I did as a kid in a very similar way, where it's just like, I always refer to it jokingly as 1 frame per second animation. But then I was watching some of it recently and I was like, oh, it's more like 5 frames per second animation. Like this is like, so I would say like maybe if you still have any of that stuff, like check it out again and you might be surprised by.
Doubt we have any of them. I used to take art classes during the summertime. It was just like a week-long summer camp kind of thing. And we got to do stop motion stuff. So I think that was like the first time that it was like it felt like real animation. We did cut out characters, and it was just like top-down stop motion stuff.
Yeah, right on.
So, and that was like the first time I think it felt like, oh, I'm doing this.
I remember having a similar feeling when I got a video capture card for my compact computer. And basically what that meant was that I could plug the VHS camera into the computer and use the composite in, so like the yellow cable, as a video source. And then I could actually use like little homebrew, I didn't make them, but little homebrew stop motion applications you could find online to do like quote unquote legit stop motion. I mean, it was, but it's funny to think about that now. I believe Anasazi was like the name of a software package I used. Shout out to Anasazi. Probably does not exist anymore. Let's see if we have any more questions. How old is this channel? When did you start posting videos? Actually, I think the 10th anniversary of this channel is coming up in July.
That's great.
I don't know if we'll do anything specific for it because Little Guys in Space needs to come out a few weeks after that. But maybe we will. We'll do another live stream like this.
To celebrate Little Guys in Space.
To celebrate Little Guys in Space, I'm just going to like take a nap. How's this going?
Good.
Dave Pickett says, which TMNT villain are each of you?
Ooh, there's a question.
Well, I mean, I said I wanted to dress as Rat King, but I don't necessarily think that means that I am the Rat King. Take from that what you will.
Gotta think of all the villains that.
There's like a boatload of them. There's like so many characters on that show, or from that franchise.
Trying to think of who I was like a fan of the most.
That's what yeah, same.
I was a big fan of Leatherhead. Pretty much like all variations of him, because in the 80s cartoon he was like a southern.
He was like
Cajun
Gambit kind of.
kinda. And then in the later cartoons he was just more of like he's basically the lizard from Spider-Man. He was just kind of like an intelligent crocodile. Who was I?
It's a very specific question, and pardon the New York sounds. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it like in the perspective of, okay, if I go through the like Turtles in Time game, who are all the bosses that you meet?
Right.
I mean, I did always like Krang, like just because the voice, obviously,
Right.
and it annoyed me as a kid because in the cartoon Krang, or the 80s cartoon anyway, Krang has a voice that's like,
Yeah, it's Shredder. He's got kind of a voice, man. He talks like this.
and then I had, so that tape that I talked about that I got from when I met Leonardo in Disney World, that had it was like a audio play of one of the episodes. But for some reason, like the Krang voice in that audio play, they didn't even try to like make it sound like the cartoon. So he just talked like this.
Oh, weird.
Like he was Dr. Claw. And I was like, that's not Krang. I also have another, wow, doing the Krang voice takes a lot out of your throat. More New York sounds. What was I going to say? Oh, I also have the other connection that I have to Krang is, it is one of the toys that, so if you can remember a time before the internet and buying things online, Krang was one of the toys that my parents always joke about trying to find and having it be impossible. It was Krang and April O'Neil that they had to go to like 3 different like Toys R Us's, RIP.
The April thing is very surprising to me.
I think it was just because of like how the cases were packed. Like obviously each one would have like, 4 Michelangelos, 4 Raphaels, but I think it would only have like 1 Krang and 1 April.
Okay.
So
That makes
like if you bought the one, that was it for like the month.
Yeah.
I think my grandparents got involved in that search. I can't remember if it was that or the Micro Machines boats. Those are another thing that always
Nice.
come up in discussion of toys that were impossible to find.
I remember being upset as a child if I ever got a duplicate of a figure I already had. I'm just like, I already have this one. Because I was a spoiled brat.
so upset. Thank you for this gift.
But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that figure.
See, that's funny because you just made me flash back to at a certain point when I started to become known or become synonymous with like construction toys and Lego and stuff like that as a kid. People who would like want to get me gifts for my birthday would always like lament the fact that they didn't know what I already had, and I would just be like, no, you don't understand. It doesn't matter. Like I got like one birthday, I got like a little Pirates like poly bag that I already owned, and I was like, oh sweet, now I have 2 of this pirate. Like it wasn't like I think that's part of what drew me to this kind of stuff as a kid was just like the modularity of it. Like it didn't matter because it was all kind of like adding to a
Collection?
a collection, but also like not a repertoire, like a stable of things that I could draw from to make little stories or tell stories through animation.
Oh, that's why. Like, this is not right. That makes much more sense.
Is this his pelvis? What is this? No, this is the shoulders and chest.
Yeah, I was just like, what am I building? For me, it was I would take the card from the back of the figure box, and I would cross out everything I had, and I would just hand it to my grandmother, and just be like,
Got it. Yeah.
like, don't get
Here
these.
you go. Yep.
Like,
That's funny. When you said card from the back of the figure box, I know what you're talking about now, but I thought you meant they had like those little trading cards that you could like cut out.
Oh yeah.
And one of the, I mean, not really disappointing things, but I really wanted our bios in the Lego animation book to be kind of stylized like that, like a card that you could cut out.
Right.
And I think our publisher just did not understand what I was talking about. So eventually I gave up on that. But it would have been cool. Maybe I'll post an image of like the original. It was basically just, it had like the scissor that you could cut out and have little biographies of myself and Dave Pickett. All right, what am I doing in life?
My head is here.
Got it. I'll continue to ask questions that are from the chat. Did you guys play the TMNT game on Super Nintendo? No, it doesn't ring a bell. Yes.
Definitely played. It wasn't Turtles in Time. It was just.
Oh yeah,
was it Turtles in
Yeah.
Time? Yeah. I played
Yeah, I
that.
love
I
that
never owned that, but I owned the Tournament Fighters.
Ah, is that a good game? I've never played that one.
It's all right. It's better than Clayfighter. I think
We're gonna get a lot of flack from the Clayfighter fan community. Yo, why are you guys saying so many things?
No, I was always mad about Clayfighter because they came out with Clayfighter 63 and a third, which is a brilliant name.
That's amazing, I have to say.
When they initially would post images of it in Nintendo Power magazine, I was getting really excited, and then I realized that like half the characters weren't in the game, and I'm like, what is this? And then later they came out with like a tournament edition that had all those characters, but you couldn't buy it. It was like for Blockbuster only.
What?
So like if you ever find that cartridge, it's worth
It's
more
like
money.
expensive?
Yeah. But Earthworm Jim and Boogerman were in Clayfighter 63 and a third.
I remember Booger Man from various video game publications. I'm confused about this. This looks like it has two 2x4s in here, but there was only one. I'm going to assume that there's only one unless it becomes absolutely necessary.
Wait, what? No, I think.
Like, see, there's like a line there.
Right.
It could just be a mistake. I'm going to build as if it was
could be
not the
my
case. No, I mean,
These are double-sided.
I have enjoyed these Mega Construx kits, but I will say one criticism is that the instructions are sometimes not as robust, let's say, as I would like them to be. I think this still works.
Yeah.
There we go. This is progress so far. Other questions? Will says, I like Mondo Gecko. I forgot about Mondo Gecko.
Yeah, he was good.
Was he a villain? No.
He might have been. I know he's a good guy at some point.
Huh.
I don't know if he started as a villain. Kind of like Kangaskhan. No, Genghis Frog started as a villain.
Yeah, you're thinking of Kangaskhan.
Wait, is
That was later.
Oh, okay.
That was like a kangaroo.
Because there was like.
I remember Genghis
Bona
Frog.
Frog.
Yeah, Napoleon Bonafrog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other two.
It was weird because they were all named after like
They were like
historical figures, but they all were
historical like dictators, right?
yeah. But then they all have just like Southern accents. Is that correct?
At least one of them did. Yeah, because I think in the cartoon, Shredder was trying to make his own group of
It's very
fighters.
much. It's very
And then
much
they're
like that.
Oh, we don't need to fight. Why are we doing this?
That sounds very familiar. I was gonna say it's like that episode of Power Rangers where Lord Zed makes the evil Power Rangers that they clearly had no budget for.
Oh, right.
It's just like a sock over a man's face. Be intimidated by us.
Figures are sweet.
Speaking of, were you the one who animated the Power Rangers stop motion 7 years ago? No, I wish I was. I would love to know more about what that is.
Yeah.
No, the closest thing we've done to a Power Rangers stop motion is the third act of the Magic Picnic, where
Oh, that's true.
I think ever since I was a kid, I was always like, because of my fondness for the classic Legoland themes, I was always like, well, this is a no-brainer. Like, at some point, like, Town, Space, Castle, and Pirates have to combine to make a giant combiner robot. Like, that only makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this wrong. This is another problem that I have often where I think I'm smarter than the instruction book, so I anticipate where things are going to go, and then I look back like 3 steps later. I'm like, oh no, that was completely incorrect. Not always, but most of the time. Do you guys remember the 4Kids TV National Anthem?
No.
I don't. I feel like that's the kind of thing that would have, if it had played at the 4Kids office, I would have turned the sound off.
See, like I watched. I mean, 4Kids was kind of the tail end of my cartoon watching
Same.
on Saturday morning because
Yeah.
we're older. Fox Kids was what I grew up on.
Fox Kids, rocks kids. I remember that. I don't know what that means necessarily, but
trying to think of like the lineup. It was like Eat the Cat, Bobby's Worlds.
oh yeah.
Power Rangers was on there. Probably Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Oh, we should talk about Power Rangers getting bought by Hasbro.
Oh yeah.
Because that happened recently, and in anticipation of the upcoming Power Rangers convention in California, which we will both be at, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And also they announced that more Power Rangers movies are going to happen, and I'm like, after the forgettable train wreck that was the one from last year.
It's so bad.
Are you thinking of doing any Lego animations related to the newest superhero movies coming out? I guess the short answer would be no.
I'm always game for Spider-Man.
Yeah, if anyone would like to hire us to do that, like that's we're totally down for it. Speaking of Spider-Man, that was another one of the projects that you and I worked on together that I have fond memories of. Was when we did those superhero spots back when Lego Superheroes came out, like when that was a thing. I specifically brought you on to do the Spider-Man one because I thought you wouldn't be my friend anymore if I did a Spider-Man video without you.
It's accurate.
Sorry, I gotta clear this. There we go.
Also, I recall us trying to figure out the swinging motion of the legs
That's what I was thinking
while
about.
swinging on the web, and I believe it was you that laid on the floor sideways to swing your legs as reference.
So we have there's like if you look at that video, there's like 3 shots where Spider-Man is like swinging through the city and just trying to figure out the mechanics of that. Like how does one swing?
Right.
Like how does that work? Dave Pickett has been actually he's been taking my How About We Animate That episodes and putting my uncontrollable ability or tendency to act out the animation when I'm talking about it. He's been editing that together with the final animation to kind of like line it up.
Wait, I don't understand.
So like when I'm talking about, for example, in the first episode, I'm saying like, oh, Rocksteady like hunches over and then like bursts out and becomes the rhinoceros. He'll take what I just did, like footage of that, and put it next to the final animation.
Cool.
And I wish we had footage of us like trying to like figure out swinging on the floor because I'm sure it would have been hilarious.
Well, you have some good stuff with country building with you. And
Oh
Jeff.
yeah. Yeah. Video reference is fun. I have to shoot some for Little Guys in Space on Monday because I am animating on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I have to finish up the next How About We Animate That.
Yeah.
Other questions? Will asks, what's our favorite Ernest movie?
Oh.
For those of you who don't know, I also produce a podcast about Ernest P. Worrell, which you can find at piganimation.com.
Know what I mean?
I was going to say, you were a guest on one of those episodes.
I was. Which one was it?
It was the one where we had no air conditioning where we were recording.
I was falling asleep.
And we were both just like melting. I think it was
I don't think I talked much in that entire
I think it was the Hey Vern, It's Ernest
yes.
the TV show.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful TV show if you can. I think it's all on YouTube. It used to be on Amazon Prime, and then they took down most of it for random reasons. Like it's still there, but it just says, you can't view this.
Wait, sorry.
Favorite Ernest movie?
Movie, okay. Because if out of all Ernest things, I prefer the show.
That's fair.
But out of movies that I've seen, I would say the Christmas one.
Oh, yeah.
It's got charm to it.
Yeah, that movie holds up, and it's my favorite depiction of Santa Claus ever. Like, when I think of Santa Claus as a character, or really as a person, because he is a person in that movie, and it's Douglas Seal who voiced the Sultan in Aladdin.
Oh, nice.
But that's the performance I think of when I think of Santa Claus is Douglas Seal. My favorite Ernest movie is probably also Christmas. I think the best Ernest movie is probably Scared Stupid.
That movie's weird.
It is weird, but that's kind of why I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about weird movies, like the Ninja Turtles movie is a really weird movie.
The original?
Yeah, like that's a weird movie.
Sure.
It's just like very like
Yeah, that's fair.
matter of fact about. Oh yeah, there's turtle men, they exist,
Right.
and
There's a villain.
don't worry about it.
He's like a garbage bag for a cape, and
Well, it's like a not leopard.
Right.
It's like a zebra print.
yeah, like in the light, it looks like a
Yeah.
garbage bag.
It reminds me of that tuxedo that Jim Henson wears in the Muppet Family Christmas,
Oh yeah.
where he's doing the dishes with Sprocket.
Classic.
Dave Pickett says, regarding being ungrateful for action figure gifts, I collected trolls as a kid, and one time someone got me a, quote, stone protector,
Oh yeah.
a super macho
Yes.
knockoff of trolls.
Yes.
I got offended and tried to give it back.
I love stone protectors. I used to watch that cartoon all the time.
I think my brother had one. I think they, like, if you, like, turned the arm, it would, like, make a spark
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
the jewel.
Yep.
That's really funny, though.
Yeah, there was a terrible Trolls puppet series. It was like I think it was a direct to VHS tape, but it was troll puppets singing about being trolls and whatnot. And then there was a Christmas special. I think I showed you clips of it.
Troll Radio is on the air.
Yeah. You should look it up on YouTube. It's terrible, but it's a good time.
So the other thing, if I had to offer constructive feedback to Mega Construx, is that they very often have like little bits of the sprue still on the pieces that can make it difficult to get them fit together right. So there's just like a little piece of the plastic from where it was manufactured, and don't tell anyone that I'm using a Lego brick separator. There actually was, when I was at Mega headquarters last year, they had their own brick separator that was like pretty cool. I don't know if it ever came out. Anyone at Mega, if you're watching, please tell me, because I would love to get one. It had like a neat little attachment where you could like pop the brick out once you
I feel like there's like an alarm at their headquarters. Like somebody's using the Lego brick separator.
our windows crash in and like people
Freeze.
repel in. What did you say? The Spider-Man one with ice cream, is that right? That is the one, yeah. Lego loves to write scripts about food. Like the people at the Lego in-house agency, they love to write scripts about food. I don't know why that is.
I think food is universal language.
Yeah. Yeah, these are, sorry, this is taking me longer because I have to cut off the bits of plastic.
Are we allowed to know what your next, how about we animate that topic
Episode is? Oh yeah. So the next How About We Animate That will be, speaking of...
There's a bird. You hear that? Every morning.
Yeah. Speaking of Dave Pickett, he and Mark Larson made a Godzilla figure for Lego Ideas. So we're going to be How About We Animating that?
Nice.
That's English, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It almost feels like a Pagano puppet in its design, which makes me happy. So I think trying to animate it will be interesting, and I want to find some old like good Godzilla footage, because there's this thing, and I'll see if I can find the exact clip because I don't know what movie it's from, but there's always like, one of the reasons I love Power Rangers is I love Japanese suit actors. Like anytime there's just like a very like specific performance style to it, and I don't know where that comes from, like historically, or if it's part of like Japanese theater, but it would always annoy me as a kid when they would have the Japanese suits in Power Rangers, but it was American footage, because like the performance would be just so like you could tell the person didn't want to be there, and it would almost feel like a different character in some ways sometimes. But Godzilla has like a very specific thing where like the arms are kind of like
It's like a
you can
whole,
tell.
like-
Yeah, he's like it's almost like Batman, where like Batman like can't like turn his neck and he has to like do that.
Yeah.
So Godzilla like is constantly just like restricted by the suit, and I think that gives Godzilla like a lot of specific personality. So I want to see if I can
Cool.
capture some of that in a stop motion form. Okay, I did a thing.
So you're gonna capture the 1997 Matthew Broderick Godzilla motion. Is what you're saying. Yes.
We can be heroes and cover this song. All right, so we have pelvis,
Nice.
so to speak. I'm glad we picked the smaller set because this is taking longer than I thought.
It's
it
actually
would.
smaller than I thought it was gonna be.
Actually, I agree with that. Do you want to
Sure.
take over this? This is going okay though.
Yeah.